Who Are You? By Pat O'Brien. An ancient hymn is heard, softly at first. Slowly a painting comes into focus. A hand holds a knife in stabbing position. A smaller hand appears to be stopping it. Widen. Abraham, holding the knife. Widen. Isaac, about to be stabbed. Widen. The angel of the Lord stops Abraham. As the music reaches its crescendo, the entire painting emerges. A gilded gold frame surrounds Sacrifice of Isaac by Orazio Rimonaldi. Abraham is about to kill his son when the angel of the Lord stops him. As the hymn fades out, a 60s rock tune takes over. Exterior, Seattle skyline, day establishing. The sun shines through a break in the clouds as a Bentley convertible glides along Alaskan Way on the waterfront. The music is part of the packaged opening of a podcast heard on the Bentley's sound system. The host, Dylan Stewart, is on. Her voice oozes sexy.
Hello, Emerald City. This is Dylan Stewart with the 4th installment of the Translation Podcast, where a trans person, me, translates for you what everyone else is lying to you about.
Driving the Bentley is Paul Shooter Doyle III, 31. He is cool as the other side of the pillow.
I speak truth to power in all its forms.
The Bentley turns off onto Madison, heading downtown. Exterior, Doyle Software Building, day establishing. Featured is the tallest building in the city. At the top is the Doyle Software logo.
We turn over billionaires to see what shakes out.
The D in the logo looks like an Ithacus, the Christian fish symbol.
What's under the rock that's religion? We catch what comes scurrying out.
Exterior, Doyle Software entrance, day. The Bentley screeches to a halt. License plate reads, Doyle 3. The music stops.
I want you to imagine you are a 7-year-old boy in the care of a priest.
The podcast ends abruptly as an attendant, Sebastian, mid-20s, full-on hipster, opens the door and Shooter springs from the car. He oozes self-confidence. Patek Philippe watch and Armani suit are his uniform. Shooter tosses his key fob to Sebastian.
Good morning, Mr. Doyle. How are you today?
Shooter gives Sebastian his trademark finger gunpoint.
Fan-fucking-tastic, Sebastian.
Shooter pats Sebastian on the back and disappears into the glass doors. Interior, Doyle Software, 75th floor, day. The elevator doors open and out walks Shooter like he owns the place, which he kind of does. Classic tech company amenities, a bar, full kitchen, ping pong, pool table, and comfy lounging areas. Doyle Software branding is everywhere. Shooter winds through a phalanx of sycophants. He finger gun points at everyone when suddenly he is intercepted by Geoff, 50, the CFO. They keep walking.
Shooter, we need to talk about the Matsumoto deal.
Geoff. Fuck. Stop. Do I look like I am awake?
You kinda do. Wait, you got your dick wet last night, didn't you?
Geoff.
It's that girl. The camel toe.
They arrive at Shooter's office. His secretary, Lisa, 50s, serious, professional, listens in.
Geoff.
Yeah?
Fuck off.
As Geoff motors away, he calls over his shoulder.
I'm gonna want details.
Hey, Lisa.
Good morning, Mr. Doyle. Your father called?
Shooter disappears into his office.
About the Matsumoto deal.
Interior, Shooter's office, day. High-tech toys and computer systems blend into luxury, ergonomically designed furniture. Shooter nestles in. He talks to his computer. Not Siri. His computer voice is called Sammie, a female voice with an edge.
Sammie, open up.
Didn't you get your dick wet last night?
You have to stop listening to Geoff. Just open up, please.
As his computer boots up,
I have to do everything around here.
The homepage features a 16-year-old shooter on horseback. In the background, a majestic, memorable view. Shooter stops to look at the photo.
I was running that spy program you wrote.
His email opens.
It's not spying when it's your own company.
Check out this email.
It is a bank statement from a Panamanian bank. It shows hundreds of millions of dollars being deposited and then immediately transferred out. The name on the account is Paul Shooter Doyle III.
What the fuckity fuck? Sammie, can you call this bank?
Already dialing.
Shooter picks up his phone.
Yes. Hello, I'd like to speak to your manager.
He listens.
Paul Doyle.
He listens, getting annoyed.
No, the third.
A click is heard.
Hello? Hello?
Shooter hangs up, thinks a minute, punches a button on his phone.
Lisa, tell them to get the jet ready. I'm going to Panama.
You know your father's waiting for you.
Tell them I need to be back by tomorrow morning or he'll cut me out of the will.
Interior, Paul Doyle Sr.'s office, day. Paul Sr.'s office is the exact opposite of the rest of the building. Wood paneling, a large wooden desk, a photo of Pope Ignatius, and a crucifix. Paul Abraham Doyle II, Paul Sr., 64, square-jawed and steely-eyed with a full head of silver hair, sits behind his desk. Shooter enters unannounced and takes a seat. Paul Sr. is on the phone.
You can tell that little faggot he cannot outlawyer us. I want him to feel like the wrath of God has descended on him.
Paul Sr. hangs up, looks at something on his computer. Shooter coughs.
You want to see me?
Your mother and I are going to Kenya this weekend.
Another killing spree in the countryside?
I need you to be more on top of things while I'm gone.
Don't I always?
No, you don't. Shooter, it's time for you to man up and take responsibility seriously. If you're going to inherit all of this, you need to be prepared.
If I inherit all of this? As long as I get married and have Paul Doyle IV.
Not too much to ask. Stand up, shoulders back, be a good husband and leader in the hierarchy that is life.
You read too much Jordan Peterson. Enjoy your trip. I'll be rooting for the wildlife.
Before Paul Sr. can respond, Shooter has sprung from his chair and is sailing out the door. Exterior, Doyle Software Building, day. From the street, the building looms over the city. Exterior, Seattle Co-op Studios, day. The well-worn storefront rests in the shadow of the Doyle building. A Norton motorcycle sits out front. Interior, Podcast Studio, day. Dylan Stewart, 31, likes to show off her newly acquired curves. Some tattoos betray a rough past. She sits at a desk with a large microphone.
But what haunts a 7-year-old to this day was being told by a priest that his best friend would be tortured in hell when she dies. That psychological abuse was more devastating than the clumsy fondling of the priest.
Dylan has to collect herself.
But remember, illegitimi non carborundum. For those of you who failed Latin class, don't let the bastards grind you down.
Exterior, Private Airport, day. A Gulfstream takes off, heading south. Interior Gulfstream, day. A flight attendant brings Shooter a martini. He talks to his phone.
Sammie, who do we know in the Panamanian consulate?
Exterior, Seattle, St. James Cathedral, day establishing. Jesus on the cross glistens after the recent rain. Interior, Cardinal Fraser's office, day. Luxurious, even by Cardinal standards. A photo of Pope Ignatius, a kindly man, looms over the room. A crucifix stands guard behind the desk. A professional golf bag with the Cardinal seal embroidered on it sits prominently. Cardinal James Fraser, 65, is corpulent and charming. He sports yellow plaid golf pants. Sitting behind his desk, he pats an overly groomed Shih Tzu, Bartholomew. He gives the dog one last scratch, then stands. He deposits the dog in its bed.
Now, Bartholomew, you be a good boy for Auntie Frances.
Cardinal Fraser shoulders his golf bag when his phone buzzes.
Cardinal Fraser, call for you.
Francis, you do know I have a tea time in an hour.
It is a Mr. Black, a Mr. White, a Miss Violet, and a Mr. Blue on the line?
Fuck.
He picks up Bartholomew and sits at his desk. He punches the speaker button.
Well, this is a pleasant surprise.